Okay, we're back on. I had to reset some stuff. Um, so we're back. We're up in the cruise. Sorry about that, guys. And everything seems to be working good now.
Warrior 30 Foxtrot traffic heading to your left.
So we're at the cruise at 36,000 feet. So let's look at our VNAV page for the cruise. So our step climb is now to 38,000. So we're going to step it up. So what this will say usually, so it's saying now because it wants us to perform it now, but it'll also give us a waypoint function for where our next step climb is. So we're just going to go right up to 38,000 feet. Just push the button. It'll automatically set us to climb mode. So if you're just joining me, I had some technical difficulties with the other stream. I had to shut it down and then reset it, but everything seems to be working good now. So like I said, I apologize for that, and I really do try to not make that happen. That's actually the first time I've ever had to do that. So, but we're back in the cruise. So I'm going to set your maps up to 160 so you get a bigger picture of what's going on with traffic and everything else. And let's see, let me get situated here. So, I wanted to show you the auto compression, the auto time compression. So there's a little button up here that says auto cruise. That's going to give us our auto cruise menu. So you can do auto step climbs, pause at top of descent, auto time compression. You can set the max time compression. It gives you options 2 times, 4 times, 8 times. Even up to 16 times. 16 times is not as stable. 8 is about as fast as you can go and it remains stable. You want to keep the sim rate at 1 because what this does is when you reach a waypoint and go into a turn, it'll actually bring it down to normal time, do the turn, and then accelerate back up to whatever time rate you've set it at. That way, it doesn't get all wonky on you. That's how it remains stable for you. It's actually a brilliant piece of programming. So I'm just going to okay, so we've stepped up to 38,000 feet, which is our recommended altitude based on our VNAV. So you have optimal, maximum, and recommended. Recommended is based on fuel weight, wind speeds. It does a calculation for you and finds that the best altitude is whatever stays here. So from what I've gathered from watching 777 pilots is that they say that they live and die by this recommended altitude number, adjusting their flight path to maintain in that range for the recommended. So I'm going to turn on the auto time compression, and it's going to turn our clock display green to let us know that we're in time compression, and it's going to slowly ramp us up. So right now we're 8 times speed. and it's going to adjust our sim rate based on its needs. So if the turn was too sharp, it would have just slowed us down to whatever it needed. So it would go to 4, it would go to 2. If it was really sharp, it would go to 1. When it goes into the climb, it drops it down to 1, brings it back to normal speed. It's really great, and that's how it remains stable. You can see we're doing 8 times compression, and we're barely moving. Little hiccups here and there, but it's really great. And you can leave this on, and you're going 8 times. You're going like 8 times your ground speed. So what's that? 3,200 miles an hour. So you're just going to monitor VNAV cruise, see what checklists need to be done. So our next checklist is the descent checklist. We don't need that yet. So here's a little trick that I learned to keep a little status page for our engine so we can see the vibrations and whatnot. So you can move it over to inboard, okay, and then click ECAS. You move the ECAS over here, click engine, and it's going to pop this up. So then flip that back, and now we have our little engine display, our lower engine display in the middle. So then you can just put it back to that. So that's the lower, what that is the lower unit, so that we can look up our status pages and keep our engine, so we can keep a monitor on our engine vibrations. We'll look at VNAV. We look at our descent page, so we could try to see if we can get our top of descent. So that's our, so at Espresso we want to be above 200, or flight level 240. So let's see here, we want route data, load winds, that way we get our winds. Yeah, so to load the winds up, you go to the legs page, click on route data, and then you can just request the winds. You can do that at any time. So 1932, you can see we're moving along now because we're in time compression. So it said our next step would be flight level 400, but we're at our max, so it's not going to display any waypoint. This would become more apparent if you were doing like a transoceanic, excuse me, if you're doing a transoceanic, you would get the waypoints and you do the steps. And then you could also click on auto step climb, which then would automatically take you up to that recommended altitude for the next step. Pause at top of descent. This one's tricky. I don't ever use this. And I'll tell you why, excuse me. Because if you don't have a key bound to unpause your sim, it'll lock it up and it'll freeze. And you won't be able to do anything about it. And you can't set up the simulator afterwards. It doesn't work. You have to have it key bound prior to do that. And then all you have to do in cruise is just monitor your systems. That's why this auto time compression thing is so good. I'm trying to forget. I forget. Okay, so now we finally got our top of descent. So it's going to be in 344 miles. So at time compression, you can see it's almost like 340 or 330 seconds until we reach our top of descent. So we can set it up so we can look at our VNAV or our star. We have our pinned stars, so we're doing the coastal 2. So what you want to do with you want to look and see what our first absolute has. So we have to be at 11,000 at ocean. So what you're going to do is you're going to set your altimeter to 11,000, and just like the 737, it's going to automatically start the descent into the VNAV path. But before we get there, I'm going to go back into real time so that we can do our descent in normal time, because I've only ever used this time compression stuff in cruise, and I don't think it'll work very well going into the descent. So we're just gonna, when you're in this auto time compression, you gotta kind of just monitor everything and make sure, when you get close to that top of descent, that you shut it off and bring yourself back into normal time. And you will bounce around a little bit because it hits the turbulence at this high rate, but it doesn't go very far, and it doesn't go any like strange attitudes or anything like that. So another thing we can look at while we're waiting, we've got a couple minutes. We go back to our pinned, we can go to approach, and we look at our approach. So we're going into 8 right. So we want to tune in the frequency for our approach, right? So here's the numbers we're going to look at. We got the frequency 110.3, and then you want the radial, which is 92 degrees. So we're going to go to our RadNav page, and we're going to go to ILS, and it automatically put that in there. It auto-tuned it. So, but it's in park. So we're going to actually click that, and now it's set. So it auto-tuned it based on our flight plan, and that we picked the ILS. But it didn't have it set up. So you have to go into this page and just click it, and it'll turn it on, and it'll get ready for it. If it didn't auto-tune, say we were going to an alternate and you needed to plug it in, you would just type it out as it's written here. So it would be 1.3 92, and then you would click on that. Oh, I'm sorry, it's 092. And that's how you would set that. Alright, so you can see we're approaching our top of descent. So we're going to go back to things. So we're 30 miles out, so we're going to shut this off. You just go to auto cruise and turn it off. And it'll automatically start slowing us down. There we go. I was hitting the wrong button. See, now we're back into normal time, and we're all settled in right on our cruise altitude. See, we're approaching our vertical path. It should start. It'll start us down all on its own. So the auto throttle is starting to power us back. We're on our descent path and it automatically started us down. So some drag is required, so we're gonna put out the flap, or put out the spoilers, just following the message. Once the drag goes out, drag required goes out, we just pop us back into normal, or reset the spoilers to normal. And we'll start our descent. And we'll just monitor some different things going down. Monitor our speed, monitor our descent path. It's got us coming down pretty good, but we're still at like 3 degrees of descent, so. So I'll just go back here and go back to our star so that we can monitor and see if we make our crossing restrictions. So we need to be above flight level 240 at Expresso. Also, one thing you do, you can bring it down. I usually bring it down to 40. You can see we're at Expresso and we're above 240, so we're on path. And that's what you do in descent. You just keep monitoring, make sure we make our cutoff points. If you are on live, you would make adjustments based on ATC and so on. So we can get our checklist up. So this is our descent checklist. So recall is checked. We're still getting that tire pressure. I got to update PMDG. Notes. So if there was any kind of failures or emergencies or anything that would be off on that would require different things. So we have a note right here for tire pressure because of the bug. So if it can be determined that the main gear tire is flat, do not use the auto brakes. So just to be on the safe side, we're not going to engage the auto brakes. But I believe it's a bug. But that's what notes will do. Notes brings up any kind of alternate conditions. Go back to our descent. So auto brake is going to be off. Our landing data. So we're going to come here to our initial reference. We're going to do a flaps 30 landing. And we just grab that flaps 30 degrees, Our VREF is 138. So we're going to add +5 to that, so it'll be 143 will be what we're going to come in at. So landing data is set and our approach briefing is complete. So we're going to do, when we turn in on our inbound course to Tupac, we're going to go heading select mode, just so I can demonstrate that. And then we're going to set up for our approach. So I'm going to be at 3,000 feet at Tupac. And then our next checklist is going to be our approach checklist, and we'll do that when we get below 18,000. Cancel that master caution. So due to our tire pressure warning, we're not going to put the auto brakes on. We'll just do manual braking. So we're going to go manual braking full reverse. Well, I was really messed up that I had to shut down the stream and then restart it. I wonder what happened there. Let's knock on wood that it still keeps going. I think what I had to do was the setting, the latency setting that I had on my my YouTube stream. I wanted it a little more interactive, and I guess it just couldn't handle that. All right, so we're below 18,000, so we're going to set, we're going to click that and set our barrel ref. And we're a little high. We're off our path. We're going to some speed brake out. I got to be below, as long as we're below 16,000 for crystal. So that's what the B means. If it was a restriction where we had to be there at that altitude, it would be, there would be no letter. If you had to be above this altitude, it would be an A. So we're back on path. So stow the speed brakes. Altimeter is set. Next one is the landing, which, as you can see, there's no check mark here. So landing is going to auto-populate based on our settings. So we picked flaps 30 landing, so it automatically set the thing to flaps 30. And we'll just look at that to do before we land. So I'm going to shut down the checklist. So I'm going to bring down the engine page. You can see our little engine page here disappears, and it displays in the lower display. One neat thing is when you're in the checklist mode and the other modes, the communications mode, it kind of has a 787 feel to it, and this would be the touchpad for the cursor. You of course don't, it's not a touch screen. looks like I never shut the APU off. That is bad piloting, guys. So part of the after start checklist or part of the after start flow is we shut the APU off. That was my mistake. All right, so anything next? No, that's pretty much it. So we gotta just be in monitor mode for our descent. We're gonna keep our speed, so we're coming up on 10,000 feet. So we gotta make sure we're at our speed limit mark. You should be able to maintain that. If you were too heavy to maintain that, you'd have to check your weights because you might actually be too heavy to land. So when we turn down this leg here, when we get to, I'm going to start slowing down. Start getting our flaps out, start getting configured for our landing. Landing, actually I'll start explaining that. I don't want to get ahead. So VNAV, since that is a altitude constraint, is going to hold us at 11,000 until we pass that. So PMDG has been very good at modeling their VNAVs, and it, just like the 737 and the rest of their aircraft, it works brilliantly. So we can now descend past that to our next constraint, which would be 8,000 feet. And you want to start configuring yourself early enough. So see, we hit our mark at 11,000, so it's going to start our descent in. So you want to start configuring it early enough so that you don't have to use too much, you could slow down properly. You don't want to use too much speed brake, so for passenger comfort. We should be coming into Miami. It's right over here. There's just all kinds of stuff. Alright, so we're coming up on 10,000, so landing lights could have came on. The whole technical issues with the with the live stream, I skipped some steps. So above 10,000, you shut the landing lights off. Below 10,000, we turn them back on. Alright, so we're going to start turning in. So we're going to slow us down. So to take us out of VNAV, well, you can just push that and it will override the VNAV speed and take us into a manual speed mode where we can just dial in our speeds. Let's go start slowing us down. We're actually below 250, so we can get some flaps out to help our speed. Cabin is ready for landing. So flaps 1, we can go from 260 to 200 is our range for flaps 1. Alright, so let's get our Boeing heading select. All I have to do is just press that and we're out of LNAV and now in heading mode. Our next altitude is 3,000. A little speed brake. We're a little high on our path. That's going to bring us into 3,000 at Tupac, which is what we wanted. So the opportunity will bring us down to flaps 1 speed. Back on path. So we're heading, so we're going to clean up our legs page. So we want to be at Cobra. That's going to be our turn-in point. We look up here. We our ILS is active. We're going to arm the speed brakes. Still a little high. So I'm going to go into VNAV, vertical speed. We're going to bring ourselves down a little better. Let's make us some adjustments. So our VNAV wasn't working as good. So we're going to just take over. That way we can, come in there a little better. So I'm going to give us some speed brake. Still a little fast. And this is what you want to be doing. You just want to manage your different speeds. Try to bring us down past that try to get us slowed down. Turn on all our lights. Get ready for landing. Go flaps 5. Dial that speed down. Staying above the minimum bar. You can arm LNAV. And bring that heading around to intercept. Arm the approach right here. You can see here in our status page that the localizer and glide slope are both armed. And we're going to do flaps 15. Dial in speed, bring it down to the 15. When we capture, we will drop the gear. So when you flare this thing, you don't want to bring it back you don't want to be too high on the nose. So you just want like 1 to 3 degrees nose up into the flare to keep us more flat. So we capture the localizer, we're going to drop the gear. Now remember, we're not going to do any auto brake because we got that tire pressure message. All right, gear down, flaps 20. Glide slope is captured. We're going to go flaps 30. And then we're going to bring it down to 143 is what we said, right? Which is VREF plus 5. That way any wind changes and everything like that we can react to. All right, so landing. So we're going to not touch the auto throttle. We're going to let it, it'll automatically take care of the landing for us. So we don't touch the auto throttle, and we're just going to fly the plane in from minimums. We'll disconnect the autopilot closer to the runway, closer to minimums. Set our radio altimeter to the minimum setting. We're doing Cat 2 approach. And runway in sight. Back to make sure our spoilers are armed, and then we're going to do our landing checklist. Landing checklist: speed brake armed, landing gear down, flaps 30, landing checklist complete. Shutdown checklist to go. Alright, so let's see how we do on a landing. $1,000 stable.
Approaching minimums.
Check.
Minimums.
Disconnect, continue. Hit that auto disconnect twice.
100. 50. 30. 20.
Go in the flare. Ooh, that was rough. That was rough. Did not flare enough. Okay, so full max. Reversers. Reverse green, decel. Manual braking. Bring it out of reverse. We'll take this taxiway here. That seemed a little lighter than 337 though, guys. I don't know. I did know that I didn't bring it up enough. I think I was on about 1.5 degrees. Should have brought it up just a little more. Alright, so clear the active so we can bring the flaps up. Landing lights can come off, strobe lights off, and we'll start the APU. Our weather radar is off. By the way, the weather radar is this button here. It was a nice day out, so we didn't need it. Alright, so flight directors can come off. And we'll taxi in. I'm just going to go right across here to this stand, or this terminal. So I can show you shutdown. So landing takes a little bit of practice because you want to get that happy medium. I obviously have not practiced enough, but it'll come with time. I've actually been in helicopter mode for the past couple weeks, flying the Cohen's H-125. Going to be streaming that on Saturday. I'm going to be up by Mount Everest. That's good. Parking brake set. Checking to see if our APU is running. Yep. APU on. We can shut down our engines. Beacon can come off. Taxi lights off. So shutdown checklist. So we're gonna do this. So hydraulic panel set off. So like we went around this way to turn it on, we're gonna go this way to shut it off. So off, 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 and off. It's counterclockwise to turn it on, clockwise to shut it off. Fuel pumps. We're going to go left and then right. Window heat can come off. And then we'll get our ground power connected. So set chocks, ground power request. Come up here, primary on, secondary, we're on ground power. Shut off the APU. And that is shut down. So parking brake is set. We can actually, since we have chocks, we can actually shut that off. And we're not going to do the secure checklist, so we're done. That's it, guys. Welcome to Miami. Ah, that is spot on. Which one did I get? Stopped right on that line. Man, you can't get any perfect than that. Look at that. All right. So, unfortunately, I wanted this in one video. I had to split it because of the technical difficulties. I hope those that want us to learn to fly this, if you follow the steps that I enclosed, there's a lot of automatics. It's not it can be more intimidating than necessary. But that's just it. It's just intimidating. It's actually quite easy to fly, and everything else will just come with practice, landing, and etc. Just remember not to do any kind of large flares, so that you don't strike the tail. And I had some fun, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and on to the next one. So be clear skies and smooth landings, guys. See ya. Beautiful plane, guys. Beautiful plane. That was no 337.